Dean Gilligan, welcome to the Digital Farm. We're here today to launch Feral Fish Scan. Can you tell us the story?
Feral Fish Scan is an extension of Feral Scan, which the Invasive Animals CRC and New South Wales DPI developed to help farmers and natural resource managers map the distributions and spread and abundance of vertebrate pests on land: rabbits, foxes, deer, pigs. There was never anything similar for pest fish. And there's a big community of recreational fishers out there and water watch volunteers who are eager to be involved in generating this sort of useful information on pest fish. And this new website, which will become an app eventually, is the first step in that process.
So what are the objectives of Feral Fish Scan and what audience are you targeting it at?
The objectives are to generate information on the distribution and abundance of pest fish, all species of pest fish, but primarily and initially carp, and also to quantify the extent of the damage that they cause to rivers. The limitation has been that most of the state government fisheries agencies have highly skilled fisheries technicians and equipment to survey and monitor fish communities, and they do that on a regular basis, but there's only so many staff, and it's a broad area that they have to cover. We just don't have the manpower to do the job adequately. So we're kind of conscripting citizen science to help fill that void in generating information on where are these pest fish spreading to, what sort of impacts they're having on the environment, and identify any particular hotspots, nursery areas or aggregation sites which we could target with the tools that we've got available to try and remove as many carp and other pest fish from the river as we can with the least amount of effort that we need to expend.
So imagine I'm a keen recreational inland fisher here on the banks of the Murrumbidgee River. How do I get involved?
Okay, simply go to the Pest Fish or Feral Fish Scan website, register as a user, and then whenever you're on a river fishing or having a picnic by the river or a lake and you notice an aggregation of carp or see carp while you're fishing or catch a redfin or your children find an oriental weatherloach in the stream, it's a simple use the map function, zoom into the location you're at, press a button and it'll register that that's where you observe the fish on that date. You can upload photos to go with it, which helps in identification. You can take photos of any damage that you notice. And over time, if everybody gets involved with this, it'll generate a massive data set which we'll be able to use to map out where are the real hotspots of pest fish activity and abundance, what times of year do they aggregate in these particular sites, and the more data and the more users we get using this system, the better the output will be in the end. The people that use the water the most are the most important people to get on board. Recreational fishers, boaters, people who work near a river, farmers who have a river through their property. All those sort of people are valuable. And the more people that contribute, the better the outcome will be for everybody.
So we'll have a nation of citizen fishers. It sounds exciting. How is the war against carp going at the moment? I mean, there have been various reports in the media, some saying we're making ground and others saying we're being overrun as usual.
Okay. The reality is that we're losing the battle at this point in time. Carp populations are 4 times higher now than they were 20 years ago. Their distribution continues to increase. We're finding carp in regions and river systems where they were formerly carp free. One of those happens to be the upper Murrumbidgee River around Cooma. The locals in that area have been telling us repeatedly over the last year to 18 months that there's a real problem. Carp, there's an incursion of carp into that part of the world. We've recently just detected the first carp in Copeton Dam up in the northern tablelands. That was formerly the largest carp-free area in the Murray-Darling Basin. Now we know that that's no longer the case. So their abundance is going up, their distribution is going up. We have some tools that are effective, but they're only effective at usually the local scale and only as long as you continue to implement the control. As soon as you stop, it's only a matter of time, maybe a decade, before the carp population is back to what it was formerly. So
it's going to be a never-ending battle, in other words, until we find some sort of biological control mechanism.
Yeah, that's exactly right. And biocontrol options are what the Invasive Animals CRC has been working towards, given that they're by far the most cost-effective and in the long term the best strategies to adopt. Formerly, the CRC was looking into daughterless carp or a genetic biocontrol strategy. It still shows some promise, but the development of the technology, because it was novel and blue sky, took longer than we anticipated initially, but it's still making progress. That work is still underway at Auburn University in Alabama, where they're starting to develop breeding lines of genetically modified carp that bias the sex ratio. So that work's still going on. But the really big ground that we've been making is in carp viral biocontrol with cyprinid herpes virus 3, which for the last almost 15 or 20 years now has been affecting carp in the Northern Hemisphere, spreading right through Europe, North America and Asia. At the moment, we know it's at the closest to Australia is Indonesia. Wherever this virus impacts the naive carp population, you generally get an 80% knockdown. So a really significant knockdown in carp. And you know, that's an obvious candidate to look into as a control agent. So CSIRO have been doing tests on a whole suite of native fish and other animals to prove that the virus is totally specific to carp. So once we tick that box off, it'll be opened up to community debate and political debate to see whether governments and the public is willing to allow use of this virus on a national scale. Initially we'll get that big 80% knockdown. We don't know what the long-term prognosis will be. Obviously it'll be somewhat like calicivirus and myxo, where the virulence of the virus, you know, declines through time and as the target animal becomes or evolves resistance, but an 80% knockdown initially will be a great outcome.